The voice of the drum calls. It sings a song of those who came before us and those to come. A song of survival and strength. A song of participation and voice. A song that calls us together. When we come together and participate in the 2010 census, we use this tool as the voice of all our Native people. Our voice. It is in our hands. 2010 census.
Welcome to this edition of the Native News Update on this Monday, March 8th. I'm your host for today's program, Paul DeMain. Many of the stories right here can also be found at our website at IndianCountryNews.com. And here are the news stories for the day from the Associated Press and other Native news sources. 5 men have pled guilty in federal court to conspiracy to distribute cocaine on the Pine Ridge Reservation. The U.S. Attorney's Office said they were part of a plan over an 8-year period to obtain cocaine in Denver, Colorado and resell it on the reservation. Facing sentencing in June are 39-year-old Merrill Ketches of Rapid City and 4 Pine Ridge men, 21-year-old Matt Tobacco, 40-year-old Bervin Brings Plenty, 40-year-old Guy Yellow Boy, and 35-year-old Will Times. The deadline for Congress to approve funding for a $3.4 billion Indian trust settlement has been pushed back again. Congress now has until April 16th to authorize the settlement payment in the class action lawsuit filed 13 years ago. The settlement includes $1.4 billion to pay individual Indian money account holders. Account holders sued the government over the Interior Department's mismanagement of royalties received for natural resources development. Congress initially had a December 31st deadline to approve the settlement money, but that was extended to February 28th and now April 16th. Lead plaintiff Eloise Cobell of Browning, Montana says the delay is frustrating, but she says she believes the settlement will be approved. The death of a lone undercover operative in a federal crackdown on the black market for ancient artifacts has thrown plans for the first trial into doubt. U.S. Attorney for Colorado David Courte says he's reviewing the evidence left for a trial that was to start March 29th. Antiquities dealer Robert K. Knowlton was accused of selling prehistoric pipe and 2 knives to a Utah businessman who secretly recorded hundreds of hours of videotape sales with 26 defendants in Colorado, Utah, and New Mexico. The district attorney says he's reviewing ways to use the videotape without live testimony from Ted Gardner, who shot himself recently after a police standoff. The prosecutor said he wasn't certain if Knowlton's trial will start as scheduled. The state attorney general's office has asked a federal judge not to expand a voting rights lawsuit into a class action one on behalf of American Indians in South Dakota. The lawsuit from the American Civil Liberties Union alleges that 2 women from Pine Ridge were improperly removed from the voting list when they were convicted of a felony, but sentenced only to probation and not prison time. It wants to expand the lawsuit to include more plaintiffs. Lawyers for the state of South Dakota say the ACLU has failed to provide information showing there were widespread violations sufficient to expand the plaintiff class beyond the 2 original women. Members of the Standing Rock Sioux tribe who support the University of North Dakota's Fighting Sioux nickname have collected 850 signatures on a petition to bring the matter to a vote on the reservation. The group intended to collect 600 signatures by mid-February but missed the deadline and continued circulating the petition. Archie Foolbear told the Grand Forks Herald last week that the signatures will soon be turned over to the tribal council along with a request for a vote within 90 to 120 days. Under a settlement with the NCAA, the State Board of Higher Education and UND agreed to begin retiring the Fighting Sioux nickname last November 30th if they couldn't obtain permission from the Spirit Lake and Standing Rock Sioux tribes to continue using the logo and mascot. The Administration for Children and Families and Administration for Native Americans has announced the availability of some $42 million in competitive grant funding for fiscal year 2010 for community-based projects that promote economic and social self-sufficiency and cultural preservation for American Indians, Alaska Natives, Native Hawaiians, and other Native American Pacific Islanders from America, Samoa, Guam, and the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands. The fiscal year 2010 funding includes $27 million for continuing multi-year projects. A&A grant funding supports social, economic, and governance development, preservation of Native American languages, and environmental regulatory activities. Applicants are encouraged to contact ANA's technical assistance regional providers who can offer project development training and pre-application training free of charge. The funding opportunity announcements can be downloaded and submitted at grants.gov. A land deal with the city of Fairbanks, Alaska will allow a $75 million medical center project for Natives and American Indians to move forward. The Tanana Chiefs Conference agreed last week to buy 9.5 acres near the Big Dipper Ice Arena for its new Chief Andrew Isaac Medical Center, the Fairbanks Daily News Miner has reported. The new hospital will allow more services for Alaska Natives and American Indians, such as radiology and physical therapy, said Conference Health Director Victor Joseph. The proposed new facility would be about 100,000 square feet, more than 4 times larger than the current center. And that is the latest roundup of news from Indian Country on this issue of the Native News Update. Thank you for joining with us, and come back again soon. Miigwech!